Subplots are basically the side characters of your plot, and that's why you need to give them the same level of care and attention that you would your side characters. What you don't want to do is treat your subplots like side quests in a video game. Here's the main quest, and oh, here are a couple of random side stories that don't connect in any way to the main quest. It works in games, it doesn't in books. If I can skip your entire romantic subplot, or political intrigue, or your mentor's backstory without missing a single thing that matters to your main plot, or if I can skip it and still follow and connect the dots to the main plot without being confused, then why is it even there? It's just filler adding to the word count at that point. But when subplots are done right, when they actually connect to your main plot and integrate with it, it doesn't feel like filler. They make your main plot hit harder, your themes resonate deeper, and your world feel meaningfully alive instead of just populated with randomly generated NPC quests. In this video, we'll break down exactly how to write subplots that don't just exist alongside your main plot, but also amplify it, complicate it, and make it unforgettable. And this should apply to any genre of book you're writing, not just fantasy. If you're new here, my name is Brianna and I post videos every Sunday that help you become a better writer. I also make easy to use writing workbooks that help you build and outline your novel from start to finish. So if you're interested, check them out in my Etsy shop, Planner Palette Co, linked in the description below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Okay, so the most common mistake I see with subplots is that your subplot has zero impact on the main plot. This is like the ultimate sin of subplots. Your character goes on this entire journey. They fall in love, learn a new skill, maybe discover a family secret, and then it just doesn't matter when they either face the main antagonist or solve the central conflict. Let's say your main plot is Julian, a disgraced knight who must recover a stolen artifact before it's used to unleash an ancient curse on the kingdom. So now you write this whole romantic subplot where Julian falls for Era, a traveling merchant that he meets on the road. They have great banter, sweet moments by the campfire, maybe even a kiss in the rain. It's lovely. But then when Julian faces the dark sorcerer who stole the artifact in the climax, Era's not there. She's actually back on the road going to the next town to sell her wares. The relationship also didn't teach Julian anything he needed for this confrontation. It didn't give him resources, allies, or emotional stakes that matter in this moment. It was just there, this inconsequential blip in his journey. That's the disconnected subplot. Every subplot should either complicate the main plot in some way or provide the key or a key to resolving it. So a stronger example of this would be that what if Era isn't just a merchant, she's the sorcerer's sister. She doesn't tell Julian this at first because she's ashamed of what her brother has become. Their romance develops and Julian genuinely falls for her. But when he discovers her connection to the antagonist, suddenly his mission gets complicated. Does he trust her? Can he love someone whose blood is tied to the person destroying his kingdom? And more importantly, Era knows her brother's weaknesses, the layout of his fortress, the ritual he's planning, so then the romance isn't just emotional stakes anymore, it's strategic. Now the subplot directly impacts the main plot. Julian's relationship with Era becomes both his greatest vulnerability and his best weapon. The difference now is that the subplot isn't just running parallel to the main story, it's interwoven with it. Now, like in all of my videos, the example I've given here isn't perfect. It's just to give you a basic idea of what I mean using a basic story plot, and this applies to the rest of my examples throughout this video. Now, the second mistake is that your subplot solves a problem that doesn't exist. And this is where writers create a subplot to solve a problem, but that problem was never actually set up in the main plot. For example, let's say you write a whole subplot where Julian trains with a mysterious hermit to learn advanced swordsmanship. That's cool, except Julian was already established as one of the kingdom's best knights before he was disgraced. His problem was never skill. It was his reputation, his guilt, and his lack of allies. So why are we spending 3 chapters watching him learn how to sword fight better? In this case, the subplot is solving a problem that the story doesn't actually have. You want to identify what your protagonist actually lacks to achieve their goal, and then build subplots that address those specific gaps. So in the case of Julian's actual problems, he's disgraced, so no one will help him. He doesn't know where the artifact is, and he's haunted by the mistake that cost him his knighthood, which makes him hesitate in key moments. Now we build subplots around those things. So a stronger example would be that instead of training with a hermit to get better at fighting, what if Julian has to earn back the trust of his former squire, Tam, who now leads a group of rebel scouts? This subplot forces Julian to confront his past failure, apologize, and prove that he's changed. And once he does, Tam Scouts give him the intel he desperately needs, which is that they know where the sorcerer is right now. Now the subplot is serving the main plot. It's addressing a real obstacle, so his lack of allies and information, while also driving the character development, where Julian is confronting his guilt. And this is how you make your subplots feel like puzzle pieces that click into place. Now, the third mistake is that your subplots have different themes than your main plot. Theme is the glue that holds your entire story together. If your main plot is about redemption, but your subplot is about, I don't know, the economic politics of grain tariffs, then readers are going to feel the disconnect. Let's say your main plot with Julian is fundamentally about redemption. Can someone who failed catastrophically ever earn back what they lost? But then you write a subplot about the kingdom's succession crisis, and it's all political maneuvering with no emotional or thematic connection to Julian's journey. Sure, it's happening in the same world, but it feels like a completely different story. So you want to make sure your subplots explore the same theme from different angles. So a stronger example of this would be that instead of a random succession crisis, what if the king's heir, Ambrosia, was also disgraced? She was supposed to protect the artifact and failed, just like Julian failed his knighthood. Now she's desperate to prove herself worthy of the throne. She and Julian could become uneasy allies. They're both seeking redemption, but their methods differ. Julian wants to do it quietly, while Ambrosia wants public glory. This creates conflict, but it's thematic conflict, because the subplot is asking the same question as the main plot. What does it take to redeem yourself? Does redemption require public validation, or just doing the right thing? Now your political subplot is both world building and emotionally resonant because it's exploring your core theme. Every subplot should echo your main theme. It doesn't have to answer the question the same way, but it should be asking the same question. The fourth mistake is that your subplots peak at the wrong time. Pacing is everything. If your romantic subplot reaches its emotional climax in chapter 12, but your main plot doesn't climax until chapter 30, then what's your romance doing for the next 18 chapters? Is it just existing awkwardly in a state of resolved contentment while the actual story is still building tension? Or does your subplot resolve after the main plot, which then makes your ending feel like it's dragging? Your subplot should build toward the same climactic moment as your main plot, or resolve in a way that directly sets up the main climax. So a weak example of this would be that Julian and Era confess their love in chapter 15. They're together now. Great. But the main plot, recovering the artifact and stopping the curse, doesn't reach its peak until chapter 25. So for 10 chapters, the relationship is just kind of there. They're supporting each other, sure, but there's no escalating tension in the romance because it was already resolved. It no longer adds to the layers of tension being built by the main plot. A stronger example could be that Julian and Era's romance builds throughout the story, but the real test comes at the climax, when Julian confronts Era's brother, the sorcerer, who tells him, "Let me complete the ritual, otherwise Era dies with me if you stop me." Now the romance subplot and the main plot collide. Julian's feelings for Era are now the crucible in which his redemption is tested. Does he choose the kingdom or the woman he loves? That's a real choice with real stakes, and it happens at the peak of the story. So like this example, your subplot should accelerate toward the climax, not fizzle out halfway through. That doesn't mean all of your subplots have to peak at the same time, though. It's up to you to determine what pacing works for your subplots. Maybe your subplot needs to hit its climax before the main plot in order for the main plot to peak properly. Whatever you decide, it should be purposeful and serve the progression of the story. And the fifth and final mistake is that your subplots don't change your protagonist. If your protagonist goes through an entire subplot and comes out the other side exactly the same person, why did we just read it? Let's say Julian has a mentor subplot where he seeks advice from the former Grand Knight. They have some nice conversations about honor and duty, the mentor gives him a pep talk, and Julian feels better. But then nothing changes. Julian makes the same decisions that he would have anyways. The mentor's wisdom doesn't shift his perspective, challenge his beliefs, or give him new tools to approach his problems. That's then a wasted subplot. Every major subplot should fundamentally change something about your protagonist. Either their beliefs, their abilities, their relationships, or their goals. So a stronger example could be that what if the former Grand Knight is bitter? He tells Julian, "I gave everything to the kingdom, and they discarded me the moment I was no longer useful. Redemption is a lie they sell you to keep you loyal." And this challenges Julian because it forces him to question whether he's chasing redemption because it's right or because he's desperate for validation from people who don't deserve his loyalty. Maybe this subplot leads Julian to realize that he's not doing this for the kingdom's approval anymore, but he's doing it because it's the right thing to do, regardless of whether anyone ever forgives him. Now the subplot has changed him. His motivations have evolved, and that change will affect how he approaches the climax because his understanding of the core theme, that being redemption, has shifted. Subplots are character development engines. If they're not transforming your protagonist in some way, they're not doing their job. So let's recap the 5 mistakes. First one is that your subplot has zero impact on the main plot. So you would fix it by making subplots either complicate or resolve the main conflict. Second, your subplot solves a problem that doesn't exist, and you would fix it by identifying what your protagonist actually lacks. Third, your subplots have different themes than your main plot, so you would instead make sure that every subplot explores your core theme at a different angle. 4, your subplots peak at the wrong time, and you would fix this by building your subplot's tension toward the same climax as your main plot, unless you're intentionally doing it differently. And 5, your subplots don't change your protagonist. So you would want to ensure that every major subplot transforms your character in some meaningful way. When you nail these elements, your subplots won't feel like distractions or filler. They'll feel like essential pieces of a story that couldn't exist without them. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, you might want to watch this one next. And let me know in the comments, what's the hardest part about writing subplots for you? Until the next chapter.